Let's hope that it's better. If it's not, you know, I'll just let it be. I gotta let people on YouTube know that there's a new video now. Da, da, da. Okay. Content live. It seems better. It seems like at least it's not warning me. Okay, I gotta update the Discord now. Discord. Okay. All right. I think we can focus now. Sorry everyone for that delay. Just in case people are watching the new VOD, just like usual, this session, we're gonna make some architectural and system design decisions today. That means after that, we should be ready to do prototyping. And I was just saying that I wasn't sure if I will be able to finish my prototype before the next weekly update, which is in like 4 days, I think. So we'll see. Tenora says, I opened both and they seemed mostly in sync. That's great. Okay. Well, right now I'm not getting any warnings. I had to lower the bitrate a little bit, and that seems to help. I don't know why it does that, but you know, it is what it is. I also changed it to just regular low latency mode. So there might be a slight delay on the chat. I'd rather have a consistency on both stream than, you know, just completely bad thing. Okay. All right, so we have the overview here. We got to work on it one at a time. Let's think about this. We're going to do data first. I like to separate data and the information. So I do think the player information, we have a few things here. What are some of the necessary player information? We obviously have player health, player character health. That's assuming there's only one character per gameplay. I think I'm going to assume that is the case instead of having multiple character. Though I guess there could be like future classes that's like summons. Developer says, first has already claimed this stream. Ah, yes, it is. It hasn't updated. It's claimed by Void. See, as long as I don't restart the app, at least those things will persist. You couldn't game the system, Mikori, I'm sorry. Void went lurking. Void just came on here just to claim first and left. Nice Stalker says, what organizer is this? This is Obsidian. I got recommended to use Obsidian last stream. And then I was like, you know what? I'll check it out. That's pretty cool. Look, I made my little map planning. Here's like a combat. There's some design here. Let me show you some of the things that I did off stream. So for example, if you look at our regular combat here, I could even do open in the right here. And then we can keep this as a map. So over here, you can see that, you know, the first combat is about melee enemy 1, easy to hit chance. All its movement decision is it's going to move out of range, move into range if it is out of range, if the player is out of range, and then attack signal if it's in range, and then the range is going to do these two things, and then player decision will, you know, vary based on that. Hey, Sherlock says, how hard is it to design the architecture for a farming game RPG? I don't imagine that it's too difficult. I don't think the genre itself determines how difficult the design would be. I mean, maybe more complicated, but I would say I have like one-on-ones or mentorship with some people that are like actually working on their game and they're trying to finish, and I help them a little bit. So recently I talked to several people, and most of the common recommendation I give before getting into prototyping and system designing and planning what kind of like algorithm and design pattern you use, we have to be like, okay, well, what is the fun of your game? Focus on that fun, choose your feature so that you actually clearly understand what your vertical slice is, like the demo version of the game is. Get rid of everything. Anytime you feel like you're about to add something new, ask yourself, does this contribute to the original fun that I had planned for? If not, be brutal. And then, obviously you can update the fun part to be like, okay, actually the fun is blah, 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 to, include some new stuff. I'm going to snooze the ad here since I just had to restart. Um, and once you have all the specifics of like what is required, what actions are required, you really need to think about like what tree, what talents, what skill, what abilities are there, what kind of enemies are there. That needs to be defined before you can actually design a system. If you're really taking that approach, if you're taking the approach of Game Jam where you're just like doing as you go, whatever, it's okay. You're having to refactor a lot of things over and over again, but that's part of the process. But if you're really thinking like, okay, I'm going to finish a big project where I am committing to finishing this game, then I always say define all your requirements first, even knowing that it's not going to be complete, and then getting into system design. And having said all that, Cholo, it shouldn't be too difficult. That if the most difficult part is identifying all the things that you need. Mikuri says, I'm a horrible madman. Tell me why I wrote return length list filter not unreadable nightmare. Hey, at least it's one line. It's one liner. As long as it doesn't break, it's beautiful. All right. So player information will probably need character health. I think I'm going to do this as a file. So under system and architecture, we're going to create a new folder where we define basically entity design. And on the right side, we're going to create a new note. And this one is going to be player information in combat, which is maybe different from player information overworld. Or I guess we should probably define player information everything. Combat in overworld, or in overworld, which is global. In map, what do we need in what do you call talent tree mode? Now, I'm not claiming that this is how it needs to be done, but it's one of the ways we're going to do it. All right, so I'm going to go through one at a time. In combat, what do we need? We need, I think, obviously, health. Pretty easy. We definitely need health. We need equipment. And equipment, that also gives me an idea of, okay, well, we need a definition of equipment information. Specifically weapon, but we'll see. And so we're going to have some equipment information down here, which will be dependency by the player information here. Which I guess I could do it this way, where I go player information. Wait, can I just open this, please? Oh my gosh. Open to the right. And then I'll say, instead of equipment doing it this way, I'll just drag and drop this. I think I can do that. Hey, I'm learning Obsidian here. Ooh, yes, beautiful. I can do that. And then open to the right. Actually, can I open new tab here? This one doesn't require player information. I'm still learning how to navigate this. There has to be a quick way to like click on things and open it, but I haven't found that way yet. Okay. So equipment probably has information like weapon, passives and all those things. So this is pretty important. And then in combat, there's also like the available actions, right? The action wheel, which will have all the available actions defined, which I guess we need the action or combat action entity that needs to be defined here. in terms of relationship, I'm not really sure if the combat action, because I'm thinking like combat action and its allowance, eligibility of certain combat action popping up may depend on equipment, the player status, the cooldown, the board status. So this one is a little bit tricky. I do think there probably needs to be, let's see. I know it's getting really complicated, but it's the thing about this is that this is an exercise that I had to do anyways. So I'm not really bummed about this. Combat action will be decided by something called, oh my goodness, something called action eligibility checker, probably. And then it'll define it. But then actually, there's we got the whole like action eligibility checker will decide, given the action, given the board state, is the action available, right? This one is like, given the game state and action provides if the action is available. That means somebody needs to provide the action. Providing game state makes sense, but we need to say, okay, who is providing the list of actions, right? So list of actions probably will come from some separate functionality. It could be done by the action checker. It could be like, give me available actions. We could have stuff like that. It's like function, get available actions. And it takes in the state, the game state, whatever that may mean. And it's like a public one. Ooh, can I keep it as... Is there a way to have this not be formatted, the bullet points? Or is this just automatic? Seems like it's automatic. How do I format? Can I do that? No idea. I'll just do this. Hopefully that'll keep it as that. Plus, because I'm saying this is meant to be called from outside. And this one probably will return a list of actions, right? Okay, so we have eligibility checker, which will provide the list of actions. And then the actions are never directly accessed, but provided by the eligibility checker. We have player information here with equipment as part of it. We'll probably eventually get around to all of this. Okay. So from the top, we'll have the combat driver, which will be the logic that probably drives a combat, I would imagine. So combat driver is the overall combat control. So combat driver will control all of this. I wonder if I can add text to the... Oh, you can. You can add text to the arrows as well. Pink says, from the top, make it drop. That's somewhat... Okay. I guess. It's a wet A programming. That's what wet means in this context. Combat driver will probably have state management here. The driver itself should contain the state of the combat. It could be separate. It could be part of the combat driver logic. Combat state, I'm thinking, should it be separate or should it be part of the driver? Driver is coordinating and orchestrating the allowance and eligibility. Okay, so we're going to say we are going to have combat state manager, which I guess could come over here. So combat state manager would be controlling the state, like so. Doesn't really need anything. Combat state manager will provide a state. It comes back here. Can I do it like this? Ooh, you can. How about we drag it like that? So we can go get current state. Update state. We got the regular updating of the state to grab the current state when I need it. Based on the state, we'll have different turns. And unfortunately, we can't have these like a relationship like abstract and instances and implementation. So we're going to have to do with whatever we have with this tool, whatever this tool allows me to do. Okay, so based on each of the state, different things can happen. Combat driver will determine, I think. Ugh, YouTube is also lagging again. Gosh. Multi-streaming seems to be a pain in the butt. I don't know if it's worth it. It is what it is. Sorry, everyone, if I'm lagging on YouTube. Okay, combat driver, I do think that some of the main responsibility here will be toggle UI and start game logic based on the current state and transitions. So I do think that combat related controlling signal. Oh, just a sec. Okay. I mean, this one is easy. I do think that a lot of the combat related signal should be here because I do think that we don't need a signal bus because the driver itself will be doing a lot of the controlling and responding. So we'll have a combat driver, and then we have different things, right? We have a overall logic, which will be like game scene handler, or game logic, like overall game logic, I guess. Game state handler? No. Game scene orchestrator or something like that. Doesn't matter what I call this. Probably will be on top of this. And then we'll be like, oh, I'm going to be executing combat driver. I'm going to be executing the map traversal. I'm going to be executing or turning on the equipment, menu, pause, all those things. So that means the combat driver itself will have some signal where a terminating signal, which will be like combat finished, and then we can have a result variable, whatever that may be. We need to define that, and basically I wonder if there's like a better way to do this. Combat. Start combat. And listens to signal combat finished. We're moving on to the next stage. Okay, I'm noticing that the default canvas is not exactly the most like robust tool for this type of planning, but it's okay. I think it's doing what I needed to do. So the start combat hit happens here, so that means we definitely need functions, which will be start, which may come with loading, but that's part of it. From the outside, all it needs is start. And maybe if I don't pass result, then I could. Yeah, I think that's enough. That's all it needs. Toggle UI and start game logic based on current state and transition. So it's going to have some signals out here, which will be... I do think that there are a few states here. The state manager for the combat itself, the states I'm imagining are player turn, which is awaiting on player input and is going to process all the things that are happening within the player turn. And because we don't want to be too minute, it could be like awaiting player turn and then like executing a player action and blah, blah, blah. That could be a state. Could be executing action as a player state. We'll see. We'll deep dive on that later. So we have player turn, we have enemy turn, and then we have like, you know, process. No, enemy turn does everything. Enemy turn includes stuff like determine AI action or resolve AI action. I guess a compute next move. And then, which will signal next move. And then we transition to player turn. And then we either have victory condition or a game over here. Which reminds me, we probably need a game over screen as well. All right. The combat driver will use player information. And so player information needs to be accessed by combat driver, but we probably need to access it from other places too. For example, for like talent trees and stuff like that. So we probably need a accessor here for the player information. I do think that having a global data accessor might be a good idea instead of passing it down. I mean, passing it down makes it so that we can have an adapter design where we can wrap whatever information we're passing down to fit each of the entity without having to change the logic. But, you know, there's such a small logic that I think direct access is okay. Action eligibility checker requires player information. It also requires, I think, the enemy state, right? The world state, like the board state. Certain actions are not available if certain conditions are not met. So we need board information, which means we need another entity that is handling the board information. Board state data. Oops. Combat board state data. Cannot contain any of the... Oh, okay. in data. And that would be somewhere around here. That one is created by Combat Driver. It's not required anywhere else. So this one is not globally available. It's just directly available. Combat board state and data. And this one requires this information. The access to it would be given this way. So it's going to be like get available actions, provide board data, and then it's going to access player information directly. Like so, because this accessor can be accessed from anywhere, like so. Cool. I don't know if there's like a pretty way to do this. Okay. So combat is going to ask, hey, is there available actions? The eligibility checker will grab all the available actions based on the equipment, the player status, and then the board data that has been provided by the combat driver, and then return actions there. And then combat actions are here. So we're going to return combat actions. The information about how to create combat action is only within the eligibility checker itself. Combat board and state data is like that. What else here? Access player information. That seems pretty organized so far. We need enemy information. Who generates enemy information and who needs it? Player information and enemy information is probably similar unless I'm trying to make a new different one. Seems like some stuff like health. Yeah. But at the same time, there's like the standard player information and there's a board-based player information, isn't there? Conic says, for some reason, I never understood state machine. I get the concept, but I always fail to implement it. Well, depending on the size of your project, I mean, I'm not doing state machine here. I will eventually. If you need a very clearly distinct, non-overlapping states where you can't do something while in certain mode, and there's enough number and complex transition, you want state machine to help you understand. But at the end of the day, state machine is just bunch of switch and conditionals, if-then cases. So you could do whatever you could do with state machine with just a bunch of booleans and if-then cases in different various places. And it's just unifying the definition of those combination of booleans for a state, defining a state. So it's not necessary. It helps organize and communicate what you mean with different people within the team and yourself. Communicating with yourself as well. Okay. So we got, okay, this is a good thing right now. So it seems like the player information, like we know that the player information actually is not global. The player information has a starting information, but essentially the copy of that starting player information needs to be, the instance of player information needs to be in the board state. So essentially, this one actually is just part of a board state. So board state contains player information. And, this is a copy of it. And another thing is that the game will have player information, which is source of truth. And then when we start combat, we basically provide a copy of player info. And then the copy of player info will be given to combat board. Init player info combat or encounter config type of situation, I think. And that also means I'm going to put equipment over here, actually. That also means the enemy information will be down here, which is very similar to player information. I'm willing to create a whole new entity just for enemy information instead of extending it from the same thing. I think it's unique enough that it stands alone. So we have enemy information here. Mikuri says so many connections. Yeah. I mean, these are all the things that is required in a game. Otherwise, you're having to plan this in your head, right? Like you're making these resources. Mikuri also says, for the state machine, says, took me a good couple of months and returning to it time and time to finally understand it. Yeah. Zeph says, good evening. Hi, Zeph. Welcome, welcome. Hi, I just said hi to you, but YouTube stream might be slightly delayed. Kafa, I guess I have to now answer all the YouTube chat with physical thing, Obsidian. Tell me when you see me respond on stream. Since it's slightly delayed. Kind of annoying. All right, enemy information here. I wonder if the loot is determined. No, it's probably not determined by this. Okay, so combat board, and then we send the board information via the combat driver. So it's not directly accessed, but it is accessed like this, basically. It comes from, I mean, there is a dependency, so to speak. There is a dependency, but this dependency comes from the driver, so I'm not going to connect it. I'm just trying to connect whoever is holding onto a version of it, like a unique version of it. Pink says you just responded. Okay. So it's like a 1 minute, 2 minute. That's not too bad, actually. I don't know. YouTube is telling me that its signal is bad right now, so I just kind of have to go off of that. Okay, so we got the enemy information, we got the player information. What else? What else? Combat driver with the state manager goes from different state. The board state updates, and then we definitely need a board state displayer, right? We have a state, but then we need a display that represents everything that's happening on the board. So we need a separate one. Essentially, we'll listen to this signal. Actually, we'll say this one is board or game board display, which is the UI essentially. And that's going to have multiple things. This is like quintessential MVC style, I guess, because we have a data, we have a controller, and then we have a display that's meant to only display things. And then the display itself would be kind of standalone. It has its own thing. It's listening to this, listening to the state, listen to state change, or listens to state change, and then the board is displayed. But that also means the UI actions, I guess it is the other direction, isn't it? So let me do this way. I'm going to move this here. We'll do it like that. And then, like so. And then the board display over here. Other way is going to listens to change to display. And then listens to UI interaction. That's UI interaction. What about player control interruption? Does that happen within the combat driver or on the display? Since the display is already handling UI interaction, I think the display should also be responsible key handling, input handling. And input, player input, basically. Cool. And then the audio can be the separate one. Audio can be global that calls on all these things. Kebef or Kbef says, what's your game called? I'm not really sure. I was trying to come up with a like not too serious of a name that also doesn't sound like one of those like cheap mobile games, because I still want it to feel like The Darkest Dungeon, The Slay the Spire, FTL, Into the Breach, like that kind of vibe. Because I still want to give the vibe of like this is a complete indie game, not a slop, like one of those like mobile quick game cookie clicker slash like meant to be a time burner, like, you know, not those like idle games. So I'm trying to give that vibe. And I was like thinking about, you know, something like Rising Heroes, or because I still want to give the fantastical RPG component feel to it, right? Because it's about this journeying through this world in a roguelike manner with combat and upgrades and talent tree. But I do think that there's a part of the story that comes into play. Look, for example, if the roguelike game is about getting to the end where you're defeating a big baddie, not to be confused with baddies, but then I feel like there's a title that goes around that. Now, if we're focusing on the aspect that no, it's about having your character and go like raising your character, then we can say like Rogue Heroes, which I think is already a game. Rogue Hero is already a game. Raising Canes, that's already taken. We can't do that. I think Adam says Raising Canes. So I don't know. I mean, I'm taking votes, I guess. I'm taking suggestions. Nekomen says, thanks for the follow, Nekomen. Okay. So display will do input handling, just with the UI and all that. Player information is here. We got some equipment stuff. I guess for now, I'm not going to do a specific slot equipment. I'm going to do a relic thing. So for example, if you pick up a dagger, that's still a equipment on the top left corner, where if you hover over, it'll say unlocks dagger abilities and talent tree. So like it's like we don't have to identify different types of equipment. You can just like handle it like you add features based on that. Yeah, Raising Heroes was one of the ideas that I had. Not exactly sure if it has that, like if it feels punchy, but we'll see. Source of truth, player information, equipment. We do have in the game board display, we said action eligibility checker will listen to this information. Equipment will have all that. That means the eligibility checker will do a lot of logic on equipment logic. How do we access? So what part of this information are we accessing to provide a combat action? Creating a combat action. What does that depend on? I mean, we have to kind of define that, because I want to be able to, when I'm implementing it, let's say I'm creating an equipment I create an equipment. I put in text version of the description, but implementation of the equipment requires a bunch of different things, right? What can equipment change? What part of the game can equipment change? And so far, the changes that can be made with equipment right now, if I have to define that, which I should, potential impact in game, change melee or type based damage, change accuracy, add ability, action, unlock skill tree. What else do we have here? Let me look at the shop items that I included so far. Armor, gain armor, which happens like beginning of the combat impact. So equipment have state based player or board data mutation. State-based board. So state-based meaning combat state-based. At different state, the mutation can be applied to the board. On attack, we do this. What else? Let's see. We're saying you inflict extra damage equal to number of space you moved. Okay, these things, I feel like, can I avoid having to hard code these? Because otherwise I need to be really smart right now. So far, required abstract overload functions for items. So far, given current feature is we need on combat start. Right? KBF says, how long do you think it'll take to make the game? Well, I mean, I'm hoping that I'll do most of the planning here in a good like setup and without the graphical component where I basically put everything as like color boxes and circles. The demo, I'm hoping that like the prototype should be done if I'm diligent by end of next week. Now, the greedy part of me, because I'm doing this weekly update thing, I do think that it'll be cool if I can do next weekly update and have the prototype ready. That would be the stretch goal. And guess what? I had a new idea, by the way. So my recent video where I talked about monetization and like, you know, different strategies to become full-time, blah, 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 based on my experience. Obviously, I never said it's the source of truth. A lot of people were like, hey, like you never release a game, or be like, okay, well, you're doing education, you're targeting other developers. So it's different from releasing devlog. Look, I agree. And you know what? I do want to add credibility to what I'm saying. So what I will do, by the time I make a prototype and then replace all the visual assets and maybe a little bit of audio, like if once I get the visual assets set up, which is I'm hoping that within the next 3 weeks, I'm going to start a new channel. I'm going to start a new YouTube channel just for posting a devlog for this game. As part of like, because my channel right now is the development tutorials, development experience in general. And then like the lessons I learned in that, targeting other developers. I want to make a channel that's targeting players. And I want to see if I can learn anything new, if I can actually succeed. Because I have some ideas as a YouTuber. I do feel like I could still make it work. So I will do that exercise. I'm hoping to bring that up too. The Ginger Dev says, yo, hi, Ginger Dev. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Uni, is it Uni or Uni? Says, hello, what language, what name, and what platform target? I meant coding language. So right now we're working with Godot engine. Godot engine can operate with C#. A lot of people opt in for that. I like using its native one, which is GDScript, which is very Pythonic language. It's basically an interpretive scripting language. But it's not like it's underneath is all compiled down to C++, I believe. For the prototype, I probably will do executable or web browser. I haven't decided yet because I do want to make Steam page, but I also want to release it on itch for ease of access. So for example, I'll do Steam page for wishlist and demo, executable demo, and then itch for web browser free demo for those people who finds it from my YouTube channel. Tanner says, any reason you don't want to use C#? Other than like I made that decision very early on when I hopped on Godot because I was like, you know what, I'm part of the community, I'm here, and I like the fact that it's open source and it's like enabling people to easily access game development. So, and I like GDScript in that it is accessible. And so I'm hoping to find limitations on GDScript, right? Instead of just blindly going, I know this won't have limitations, so I will do this other thing. I want to see if there is limitation. And if I do face it, I want to solve it or, you know, be part of, you know, uncovering and discovering those problems so more people can have access to it. There's kind of philosophical decision rather than benefit of my program. But I do believe so far, there's no reason. Like, I haven't seen a performance issue yet. That hopefully that answers your question, Ani. And Mindgraves game says you could go with an ECS instead of OOP to avoid abstract classes and inheritance. Yeah, I could. I'm just so used to OOP, but you know, we'll see. We'll see how truly we stick to this thing. I'm just at least trying to organize my thought to be like, okay, what are the datas and what are the controls and what are the display? What are the relationship between display? So that I'm not like, because this happens all the time. Because like global signal, global state, or like passing entities and states between implementations happens so often when you go into it without thinking ahead of it. And it works. The problem is as soon as you start to make changes or updates, you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot to do it here. I forgot to do it there. So I'm trying to be a little bit more organized. And I'm hoping that it will contribute to finishing the game, right? Because remember this challenge right now that we're doing weekly, the weekly update together as a community, is that we're going to finish a game. And in order to do that, I need to take this like project management pretty seriously. So I'm doing it as I learned it from, you know, my day job, which was when I was a software engineer. But at the same time, you know, I'm giving myself some leeway here. Zeph says, do you have any games up on Steam? No, I do not. That's why I'm trying to gain my credibility. But not to say I have absolutely no product or production experience. I keep having to pull this out. Sure, this application, when I was working in Amazon as Alexa Games Teams, I was in a team that was providing tool sets and making tools and example games for voice assistant experiment. So I was doing a lot of experimental stuff. So we were one of the more successful application at the time called Starfinder on Alexa, which was based on Paizo Company's Starfinder tabletop RPG game, which is based on Pathfinder system. And I was a tech lead for it, right? So if you go down here, yeah, we worked with Nathan Fillion and Laura Bailey. It was very cool to work with. But if you look at our tech development team, Ezra Kim is indeed tech lead. So I do have some credentials, but do I have anything on Steam? I don't. So I'm trying to add to that. As I said before, earlier today, I want to prove the whole marketing aspect and making devlogs just for the players. I want to prove that so that I can get that information out there. Hold on just a second. I think somebody's calling me. Never mind. I'm just hearing things. So I'm really looking forward to making. Okay, so this is the ideal stuff. Okay, I make this game. I do the prototype. I replace some of the images so that it becomes a little bit more demoable, and then I'm going to make a devlog 0 on a new channel, targeting players, not developers. Well, maybe some developers, but basically targeting players, and then open up wish list plus the demo link for itch and then wish list on Steam, and see how that goes. See how it progresses, and we'll see. So it's part of that process, hopefully within the next 3 weeks. Zeph says, I'm not asking to get you off your foot. Sorry, just curious if there was something I could check out. I do have an itch page, or itch page. It's not something that I'm particularly proud of. That's why I'm like a little reluctant, but I have released some stuff. Gems and one nut. Gems and one nuts. Okay, hold on. How do I get to the itch page? Oh, it's this one. Okay. Oh, it's already doing that. Okay, it works. There you go. Because that's tisk. Just kidding. Tenera says, that's fair. I did a combo at first and then now just C#. I see. I mean, eventually maybe I'll go back to C#. Who knows? Legendary Dev says, I just wing everything, no planning ahead of stuff. That's how I approach it too, all the time. I'm just trying to do everything I can to see if the clarity it's a kind of like a experiment to see if this type of clarity ahead of time helps me finish and have guidance. Legendary Devs also says, wanted to update something for you about my game. It's got a Steam page and is submitted into Steam Next Fest. Ooh, congrats. All right, share it. Drop the link. Link should be allowed on Twitch now. And then I'll show it to everybody here. Or unless you already shared it on Discord. And feel free to post it on Discord on the showcase. Do a little thing. Do a little showcase. Hey guys, I released this game. It's on Steam Next Fest. Give me an honest review, etc., etc. I wouldn't stop you. Oh, this one. I remember playing it. Wow. It's here. No, it was really fun. It was actually good. So I'm excited. Great thumbnail, or great title screen. This is going to be great. No demo? You think it'll do worse if you have that demo available? Let's see. By just looking at it, can I get a feeling? I'm going to see if I can get the feeling of the game here. Okay, some upgrades. I get to click. Ooh, some unlockables. Cute. Oh, skill tree. That's new. You edit that. Okay, that's good. A little too long for my taste. I mean, I feel like I already got the feeling of it. Maybe there could be a punchy group of... For this being a cultist game... Oh, there it is. This shot is great. I love it. This is a great shot. But it's okay. It looks great still. I mean, don't take my word for anything other than just a deranged person just jibber-jabbering. Let's see. Zeph says the C++ in Unreal isn't scary. It's heavily managed with epics, macros, and stuff. I see, I see. Well, I mean, I do Godot, so it's fine. I'm not particularly scared of C language in general. I should be okay with it, but, you know. I also, it's harder to do content teaching and guiding and directing people once I start deviating. Though I guess like a medium to advanced people would be on there anyway. Legendary Dev says it also has a web build now to play it. It looks a million times better now in alpha. If you'd like to check it out for 2 minutes, here's a web browser version. It's had 2,500 players in the last few days since it got onto incremental DB popular list. I don't know what that is. How does it get on there? What's the incremental DB popular list? So it's showing up right now. That's great. Oh, see, the people are commenting on music. This is doing well. Congrats, man. This is exciting. Oh, you want me to play a little bit? Okay. Hopefully I won't get copyright striked. Don't strike me. Just gotta make sure. Custom media. Okay. I'll play it. Why not? It's the spirit of the game here. I'll up the volume here. All right, everyone, check out Leginger Dev's game. It's available for Steam Next wishlist right now. Check out the link in our Discord, I guess. Oh, it's a little loud now. I think last time I played it, it got a good feedback. Click me, help me. Love it. Music is great, for sure. Whoa. This is new. You added a persona. This is great. Great addition. All right. Yeah, we talked about that. The purpose for clicking. Devotion. We're going to purchase it. It's like a really good cookie clicker. Oh, hey, what is this? Little thing spinning around. Oh, there's an indicator now for actually like getting better. All right, we're going to upgrade all this. Crompeo says, dang, your glasses look cool. Does it? It's just a thick frame. Devi says, Twitch trying to do me dirty. Aw, I got my roof replaced today. Oh, congrats. Some adult item here. I'm playing Leginger Dev's game right now. It's available on Steam for wishlist. It's submitted for Next Fest, so we're giving them a celebratory gameplay here. It's pretty good. Thanks for the follow, Crump. Cedric says, you can make a game with Godot and play it on a webpage. Yeah, itch.io web browser version of the game can be played if you make games and export it with Godot. There's a web version export option. Technically, you could host a web version yourself as well on your own server and website. So, oh, that's right. I forgot to collect the EXPs. Hold on, I'm going to go full screen here. But this one in particular is made in Unity. This Leginger Dev who we're kind of trying to play for made this game in Unity. Looks great. The blooming's good. We got some achievements going on. Hover over an item to display details. Ooh, I love that. Okay. We're getting there. Definitely seems like we need... Hold on. What is this one? This is... Okay, I need the double chance here. I'm going to go for the 1.5k here. Because this one probably adds a lot. Ani says, thanks you for answering Itch. Is it naughty game? No, it's not a naughty game. Wait, what? Is Itch usually related to naughty game? Oh, Legendary says you can click and hold, but it's slower. That makes sense. Legendary says for people who don't want to click. Yeah, that's fine. No, I want to click. I'll show you how fast I can click. I love this character. This is great. This worked great. Love it. Great style. Oh. Okay. I got a little gift. Oh, very impactful. Oh, this is great. You really made it punchy. Content feature unlock. The clicks feel a little delayed, and I'm not sure if it's just me. Clicking feels a little delayed. I don't know what that does. What is this one? Ooh. Devotion upgrade path. You unlock the power devotion branch. Yes. And then what else is there? Old multiplication. Just upgrade all of them. Sorry. Sorry, I'm not paying attention to what I'm upgrading. All right. How do I get out of here? Okay, there it is. Let's see. We gotta unlock the cultist. Legere says, it's some mouse up rather than mouse down. Most things in here are still set to being free. I see. I see, I see. Don't forget to explore the dungeon. Oh, there's a dungeon. I like that. I like that. All right, we're going to summon. Great. This is fun. Okay. Oh my gosh. The wish list game button is on top of the exit button, by the way. This dungeon used to be filled with life, but now it's empty. I I could count on you. In the past, I dragged those suckers everywhere. They tried dragging the cultists to the orb. Okay. Drag, drop. Yeah. Now we got the free one. What does this do again? Oh. That's a reserve. Okay. We're going to have to upgrade per click. And then I think we definitely want this one and this one upgraded. So I'm going to focus on getting that upgraded. Apoc says, yeah, the art is great, and I've seen you show this before, and it's looking great. Yeah. I mean, since then, they made a lot of change here, and it's available on Steam now, so go figure it out. I do feel like there is an actual strategy now, so this is great. Maybe I could summon more. There you go. Give me more. I do feel like I need a lot of... well, we're gonna... Oh, we're at max capacity. Okay. Oh. Okay, okay, okay. Can we upgrade something? I want to do 4,000 for the double. Crumpeo says, yeah, whoever made the art should get a promotion. Devi says, lol, the little know-how. Tenor says, the dark theme of this makes me think of that, what, the Dark Souls text-based clicker? Oh, I didn't know that such thing exists. Well, either way. This one seems OP. I need to get the orb upgrade only first. That's gonna be the biggest one. I'm gonna go for those. Orb upgrades and doubles. Angel says, beautiful art. Is this your game? No, it's not my game. It's one of our viewers. Le Ginger Dev just released this game for wishlist on Steam next. Link, I guess I'll share the link here. Go to this one. If you want to play it yourself, this is the link. I was in the middle of making my game, but, you know, Le Ginger Dev. We are celebrating other indie devs that has finished their game. That's part of the community, isn't it? That's why we are here. All right, I'm gonna try to get that 14K here. It sounds great. Oni says, "Well, wait, this is not your game." No, it's not my game. No, I'll be very proud of my game if I could make something like this. I'm gonna hope for making something like this. Sorry to confuse you. Oni says, "I was on delay. Rain jumped me. Sorry, itch being naughty." No, it's not my game. Sorry. Sorry to confuse you. No. This is made in Unity. This game is made by Le Ginger Dev. And Le Ginger Dev is making history here. All right, this is much better now. My strategy is working. It took me to be a little bit patient, but I gotta say gathering experiences is a little tedious. It's not as satisfying because it's like too sensitive. But you know what? It's okay. Maybe that's part of the design. Leginger says no. Zedzex says, "Hey Ezra, for spotlighting the game." Oh, Heart for spotlighting the game. Yeah, of course. I always do so. Zedzex says, Leginger Dev, this is gonna do so well. Congratulations. Yeah, and I think so. I think it'll do amazing. It looks great. It feels great. It's fun. Angel says, congrats and thanks for sharing. Yeah, everybody go check it out. And he says, oh, thanks. We'll check later. Gotta go. Good luck. Wish you prosperity. All right, bye, Annie. Koto. Is it Koto or Koto? Lol, the little Koto. What's a Koto? Am I crazy? Sorry, I'm delayed. I'm too distracted by playing this amazingly fun game, guys. Per click. This one is you strengthen the devotion, increase the overall output. Yes. Give me more output, please. Give me output. Anyways, and then eventually you could go into the dungeon. I gotta look at this one. This one is new. I don't know what the dungeon does. Cultist quarters unlock. You can manage your cultists from here. Work in progress. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. It's down here. Cool. Oh, okay. I like that. Instead of like putting it this way, you open it this way. Beautiful. Great idea. And then you can unlock these. I remember that. Great stuff. Extra leg room. We're gonna summon more cultists here, of course. Nothing beats having more. A lot of clicking involved. Some upgrades here. Don't know what they do, but I be do. Just gonna upgrade everything that's available. Don't ask me how. Great. Love it. I'll call it for now. All right, go check it out, Leginger Dev. It's great. I'm going to get back to planning my system and architecture for my game here. It's always good to get a little inspired by other people's work here. Looks amazing. Leginger says, I appreciate you checking it out. It's changed a whole bunch since you saw it last time. Yeah, it did. It looks definitely more polished and it looks good. It's definitely demo ready. Congrats to you. I guess that makes me think, like, at what point should you release your game for demo, for public, as opposed to testing and Steam Next? I guess as soon as somebody says, oh, this is fun, maybe. Corpian is asking, what kind of game is it going to be, like genre-wise? Are you asking me or are you asking Leginger Dev? This one is a roguelike combat, roguelike tactics, I suppose, in some ways. Um, I have a mock-up image. It looks like this. I've shown this before. This is part of our weekly community challenge of finishing a game. So I have this idea. I'm really heavily into Baldur's Gate Honors mode right now, but I got tired of like playing the story over and over again because now I've played it so much. I'm like, I wish I could just do the item builds. So it's kind of like the condensed version of that. So I'm thinking like different tiles for a location thing. The actions here, you can hover over different parts to dive deeper into the mechanics. And then the exploration is kind of like Slay the Spire, where you go from here, you choose your encounter, you get to rest, you get to shop, you have some story components and mini bosses and bosses. And then we've been doing that. We imagined the game so far. I've done the basic talent tree design and then a demo map design for the game, what it should look like with all the encounters and stuff like that. Now, before making the prototype, which will include like a bunch of like colored squares and circles, I'm trying to do a little bit of system design so that I don't go into it blind like I usually do. So yeah. So equipment will have now, depending on how heavy this is, there may be a separate entity that handles equipment action. Before now, I think I'm going to say right now, equipment requires on combat start. And I'm going to look at my shop items to see all that. So this one is for on combat start. Hey, thanks for the follow, Crump. And thanks for the sub, Cedric. I didn't see it, sorry. Cedric is subbed on me on YouTube. Did I say thank you for Neko Man? All right, well, now I did. And then Crump says, seems like a turn-based RPG with roguelike element. Yes. Very cool. Hey, ads hit at worst time, bro. Could you repeat? Ed is still here, isn't it? Well, I was just saying that it is a turn-based RPG like combat with roguelike element, like Slay the Spire. Where's my Discord link? Like this for the map overworld type of thing, and then this for the combat. Hopefully that's significant. Crump says, Noise, are there any unique mechanics you want people to know it'll have? I think the unique mechanic is just positional combat that is like tile-based but condensed. It's unique in that it's like distilled version of positional tactics, positional what do you call a strategy, right? Because it's like small, so it's like very much like Slay the Spire. I guess my thing is that this one focuses on, hey, like come up with your unique builds to overcome challenges and break the game type of situation. Right now it's mostly vibe. I don't know. I'm usually good with one-liner. I haven't had the one-liner sentence just yet for this one. Imagined. The intended audience is type of audience that enjoys a fantasy RPG that likes to min-max combat. That likes to min-max combat by combining different combos of items, similar to deck building in an RPG format. It might as well be deck building, but we'll see. All right, so this is on combat start. We got hitting a burning target reduces a random ability cooldown by 1. This would be on hit. Yeah, on hit. And then we need, this one is +1 accuracy for spell attacks. This one is going to be on spell attack, which means we're going to have on attack, on range attack, all those things. Cedric says that's a good question. Yeah, it really is. Uniqueness, I don't know. Uniqueness is definitely on the vibe. Like these are all familiar concepts, but what makes it unique is the whole RPG-like character building in a roguelike format. Oftentimes, roguelike happens to be a lot of action games or deck building. This one is kind of like in between. Yeah. Crump says maybe unique is the mixture of the elements in a certain combination. I mean, that's definitely it. I would say I would really emphasize the whole like RPG, roguelike RPG, where strategy and build matters. Something like that. Because those are all the keywords that the intended audience care about, right? Okay, so on attack here, we got this. Hello, Crates Diamond. Welcome. Boots of Rampage says you inflict extra damage equal to the number of spaces you move in the same turn. Now, how would I implement that? Definitely, because this is during the damage. So it'll be on damage, right? On hit. There's an on hit and then on damage, which is different. And then there you have different damage types. But then also I'm stacking up a status. That's also another entity I need to include. Like the character status or like state, like poisoned, burning, those things. We definitely need on move. Wind Infuse says first action of the turn costs 1 less stamina as long as there's wind element in the environment. This one is hard. This one probably should be on. Get cooldown. I guess I'm trying to see if because I want to notify it by saying different color. This is a result of modification. And I suppose that should be done on start of the turn. Start of the turn. But I want it to be added to each of the ability as an indicator that there is a -1 cooldown. I guess it is still on combat start. We'll do on combat start, which it needs to happen after the actions have been. So this one will be. Well, I'm gonna say on combat start happens after all the preparation for combat start happens. It's not intercepting anything else, so I think that should work. This one says inflicting poison damage deals additional 4 damage. That's on damage, and I'll check the damage type. I think that's good here. I'm gonna now look at my talent tree and then try to figure this out as well. It's a little tedious. I wouldn't normally do it like this, but I am already kind of noticing some of the benefit of doing all this. Because these are something that I would be doing anyways while implementing it. The only difference is that I have an opportunity to change the mechanic if it seems too difficult or hard to think about right now. Where's my drive? Quickly update. It's probably not in here. Sorry, I'm looking for the thing here. There it is. RPG roguelike. It was this one, I believe. Yep. I suppose I should download this and include this on my, what do you call, Obsidian folder. Hopefully I can do that. Can I just add image here? How do I just drag and drop? Oh, it's not even an image. It's draw.io for. Yeah, it doesn't know how to read that. Okay, well, that sucks. I'll just open it on draw.io. Draw.io. And then we'll open from Drive. Just this one right here. All right. I'm going to take a look at this real quick. Trying to figure out what the requirement is for the equipments here. Backstab is ability. Ooh, we need on ability, don't I? On ability. I suppose the on hit will define what the source is. Ability, weapon. Because that will kind of determine some of these things. Expedition retreat happens. You get a free move. We set quick feet. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember what that was supposed to be. I don't remember what that was supposed to be. Hold on. We said expeditious retreat is you get a free move. Oh, quick feet is you get that ability on every hit. That's right. I think that's everything, honestly. Some of the abilities. So here's equipment. I guess equipment will have abilities attached to it. Like you got to define the ability of the equipment. And then we all need this like passive, like get passive bonus, which I feel like should be for these things. I have a feeling I'm still going to miss a bunch of things, but you know, we'll find out as we go. Okay, something that I noticed was I need to somehow have something related to like a status, like burn, poison, bleed, etc. Hey, thanks for the follow, Smokiest. Smokiest. Thanks for the follow. Okay. So that status is part of the, it rides on the information. It gets added to the information for sure. And I'm guessing it'll be directly passed into it. So I suppose whenever the ability or something needs to access and create a status, we're probably going to say status like a object handler helper. And that's going to be making either a factory type of situation to create the status itself. Right? And then Right now, equipment, we made it so that the equipment has all these implementation within itself. That seems a little bit too much. I do think that the ability should be separate. I think there should be different ability implementation here. So we might have something like ability effect. And this one contains all of these. So convert to file, ability effect. This one comes over here. And what we're going to do here is have all of this in here. And then ability effect is part of its ownership in here. Oops. To the right. And then we got ability effect here with all these things, which is probably defined and implemented. Some implemented versions of it will be retrieved into the equipment during the configuration. And then I suppose the ability impact or effect probably will, this one is status helper, will access the status helper in order to generate the status and apply it via the on functionalities, which is connected to everything else. Titan says, what Notepad program is that? This is Obsidian. I just started using it like today. I downloaded it last night because so many people were telling me to use it. Okay, I think this is good. There is a chance that all of this might not work out for me, but at least this allows me to start working on the combat portion. And then there's a map portion, but do I need the map portion? For the tester, I think I definitely want all of this implemented, but also combat tester should come with ways to inject and start combat. Define player information, define equipment, and then define enemies and start the combat. So we want a tester that's allowed to do all that. So we can do it without going through the full game orchestration step. So it's like mimicking what the orchestrator is doing, essentially. Except it's not waiting on a turn. We're directly injecting. Cool. Shall we? We shall. All right, how many of these are resources? We got equipment, ability. Okay. I'm gonna say I'm trying to see if any of these require like process, like a node presence. Because ability effect, this whole on execution is not a process execution. It's like an execution on turn. So it can be a ref counted object. Equipment itself is a resource, which will have the ref counted object as part of it. But because ref counted can't be part of a resource, I guess ability effect also should be a resource. And then the player information will be a resource to start. We got enemy information. Okay, let's do that. We're going to go from down here all the way up. And I don't think we can. Can we color it? Maybe we'll color to mark completed or implemented so far. How about that? Let's see how fast we can do this. Called it Rogue RPG, which is not exactly a correct naming for this project, but it's okay. And so we're going to go pretty ham on this. So we'll create a new folder here. We'll have player info, which will be enemy information. And then we're going to have some ability resource here, which I guess could be part of something else. Oh, ability effect. Call this ability effect here. And then we have some equipment. Yeah, the cloud bots just off on Twitch these days. Here, let me go check it out real quick. Mikori, thanks for reminding me. I might have to just flip it on, off and on somehow. Yeah, see, Twitch inactive. Why? I don't know. Okay, I turned it on. Hopefully it'll come on soon. Bone Circus says all this planning to change it live when you code it up. I'm not changing anything. I called it exactly what I called it, but it's true. It's giving direction. I'm not changing anything yet. Just give me a sec. But hey, if you do, it's not a problem, right? Maybe you needed it. Equipment. I'm making folders right now. Folders doesn't mean anything. Player information, enemy information. We got that. And then this one belongs to their individual thing. It's okay. I guess this one also kind of feels like mostly data related. I don't like calling it data, but I'm going to do that for now. And then we have combat driver. We'll have a tester here. And then we're going to have a scene called combat tester, which will have its own thing. And then we'll have a new folder, which is combat. It's going to have a scene called combat driver. And then probably definitely need a scene for combat board display, which is going to be its own thing. I never done it this way where I'm just like creating a bunch of files beforehand. I always do it as I come. So I have a feeling that I'm going to get really confused here in a bit, but we'll see. We'll see. Action eligibility checker is another thing. We got the combat action is a data. It's a resource. So we're going to have combat action, which I guess under combat, I'll try to change this and group it appropriately. Action is still data, I think. We'll see. Combat action related stuff. And then combat action will have a bunch of different actions that are resources. So we'll have action resource, which will be the implementation of the resources. And then we're going to have a helper that takes in the name. There you go. Combat right now will have a scene or ref counted. I think it's ref counted. Yeah. It's going to be a ref counted combat or action eligibility. Action eligibility checker. I'm so used to naming these as a service. So typically it'll be like eligibility service. McRae says, huh, weird. Yeah. Merch. Okay. Sick. All right, let's go. We're going. We're going. The tester will call the combat driver with start combat, and it'll listen to a bunch of signals. All right. Combat driver down here is going to have a script. And this one is combat driver. We're saying this one is going to have signal called combat finished. I guess I could just call it finished, and then this one has a result of the combat, which I suppose I'll have to define. For now, I think the result can be defined by combat result object, probably. Mikori says combat or project name Cozy Rogue MMO Bilateral RPG. Essentially, this is what the game is exactly the merch I made, ironically. By the way, we have merch store. Go check out our merch. We got 99% burnt out for those of us who wants to make games but is burnt out. And we have our little Godot mug. It says, on my 6th super duper awesome game idea. For me personally, this is my, 12th? And then you can say Cozy Rogue MMORPG. Appropriate. Go get it. Perfect. Okay. Combat finished. Result. I do want to define this right now instead of kind of hand waving this. Though I do think that, you know what, definition of this might change later. We haven't defined it, so I'm just going to keep it as result for now. Just placeholders. And then we're going to have a start function, obviously. Start combat. You know, and then we said the start should come with the board information, I believe. A copy of player info. But not only copy of player info, we need the board state as well. Now, technically, the board state should come based on the board state getter, I guess. If we're defining the combat board state, combat configuration. So we actually need combat configuration, like a level encounter configuration. So combat will probably have a encounter config or resource, whatever we end up calling it. And then we'll say encounter. And then this one is going to be resource. Class name. Encounter. And it's going to have a bunch of stuff. Encounter name, which would be string here. And we'll probably define some of those things. And then the tester probably will have a bunch of stuff here. We'll display the encounter. Let's create a few example encounters and then we'll start defining it. So for resource encounter here, we're going to create a bunch of different encounters here we defined. We have combat, easy melee, and range. Easy melee and range. And then we're going to create some others. Got an enchanted fighter. Thief. I'm really hoping. I don't have a good hope in this. Well, I don't feel very hopeful in the way I'm doing this right now. But I'm really sticking through it and trusting the process at this point. Wall range. We'll see. Oh, wait, shoot. This one should have been a resource. A wall range. Then we're going to have another resource that is, we got the thief wall range. We got the mini boss tough berserk. And then we have windy elemental. And then we have the boss, which is thief boss. How about raid boss? Let's call it raid boss. That's going to be some of the encounters here, which will all have its name. Basic, melee, and range. This one is going to be enchanted fighter. Then, whoa. I'm just going to name these. I mean, these are things I'm going to have to do anyways. So just going to define all these. Thief. Thanks for the follow. Fat Men Bat Tests. Fat Man says, do you have a Twitter? I used to. I deleted it. I have a Blue Sky. If you care about that. If you're on Twitch, it should be on my description. Or is it not? It might not be, actually. I don't really post on Blue Sky too much. I mean, I like and share stuff. But if you want to see my updates, I typically recommend you join my Discord because that's where I'm most active. But I guess I could share my Blue Sky social. There you go. And then Discord if you care. Wall and range. And then we got the windy elemental. All right, so these are all the potential encounters. Does resource getter loader allow you to load all the resources in a directory? I wonder if I can just like load based on the name. I feel like that's something I should be able to do instead of preloading everything. But alas, that means we have the encounter config there, which we'll need to define enemies. We're going to do that later. The combat tester probably will need a canvas layer for debug UI, debug option UI, which will have some control. I'm going to say this one is going to be some sort of item list, vertical list of selectable items. Yeah. And then we'll have single selection, and I'll put it, I mean, this is for me, so it doesn't really matter how it looks, but I'll still do it. I'll put it at top left here and then make a certain size. And then this one's going to be encounter list. And then I'm just going to make it so that the encounter list lists all the available encounters. And I'm going to create a ref count as source here. Ref count it. Which one will say encounter helper? Yeah, I should probably change the naming format. Encounter helper. Over here, class name. Encounter helper. I'm going to say it's going to have a static function called get encounter by name, which I can have. But I also want to say get all encounters. Then you can grab array of encounter resource. Something like that. For now, and then we're going to have mapping. Oh, hi, Star Kaiba. Hello. Sorry I didn't respond. Jeez. I don't think it's been that long. Has it? Yeah, I'm locked in. I'm locked in. Sorry. Sorry, Star Kaiba. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. I like to do loading this way with the mapping, but I mean, I can potentially see problems. If I put load command here, would that actually still preload? Because on ready, it's going to load them in. That's the question. Encounter resources, which will be array of, I suppose, resource, but I'm going to call that encounter here. This ref count is, I'm going to preload this. Right now, I'm going to manually do these. wonder if I can do the UUID without having to include all these like const thing. Potentially this is too much loading, but I don't think so because it shouldn't be that difficult to do these. It's like such a thin resource that I feel like preloading this on memory is not going to ruin anything. But alas, we'll find out very quickly. Quickly and eventually. For now, it's going to be iterative process. I'm not going to pre-cache the indexing. We're not doing any indexing here because I feel like that's an overkill right now. Well, I think. And we're going to do empty one here, or I guess we could return null and say like nothing exists. The following name doesn't exist. It's case sensitive right now. And then get all encounters will simply just return the encounters. The only problem is that right now this is source of truth, meaning this is like the original. If you get it and then you make a change to it programmatically, it's going to change the source of truth. So technically I'm supposed to deep copy on this, but duplicate deep. I don't know if it's actually going to work if you do deep duplication on array. I know resources are finicky. It doesn't know how to duplicate values if it's like dependent. But yeah. So on the encounter list, I think we're going to on ready, since it's an encounter list. Does the list itself work independently from the game logic itself? I think that's okay. So I'm going to say tester. We have the combat tester. We're going to add a folder, combat tester UI, and then just kind of attach a script for that one. Encounter list is going to probably access encounter helper and get all the encounters. And for encounter in encounters, it'll just simply list those. Thanks for the hydrate. Solderin says, hey, Ezra, what's up? What's your blue sky again? Here. I don't have a command for it, so I have to manually copy and paste. This? Oh, I copied everything. But you get it. Here you go. Copy the username as well. There it is. That or Discord. I'm more active on Discord in our community. If the bot will work, that'll be great. Doesn't seem like it's working, but there you go. So we have the encounter, and I'm just going to use the encounter name for now. And then item list. Let's see. How do you queue up its content? Do you just go add item? Yes, add item text. You can have an icon if you want to. I'm just going to do regular add item here. Add item. Boom, bam, boom. So for now, if I select this and play, I have a bunch of items here. Tiny, tiny, tiny items. We're going to have to fix that. Seems like... Hold on. Let me do something real quick. Yeah, seems like it's empty. Am I crazy in thinking that? I don't think it's the... I think texts are not showing up. Yeah. I think the deep copy is screwing it up. The copy of the value is not happening. That usually happens because of the components are not exported, but they are. So for now, I think I'm going to just do it without duplicating and see. Oh, it says invalid access to property or key encounter name on a base object resource. Well, it's not a resource, is it? It's an encounter, even though I provided the typing. So I don't know why Godot sometimes like to do this. Oh, no. Array of encounters is preloaded, is encounter resources. Interesting. I'm going to have to debug this. There might be some weird relationship between constants and statics. I might have to make it. I mean, constants should be treated as static, right? Don't you think so? There's nothing in here. Maybe I need to. I do need to copy it manually. That'd be unfortunate if that's the case here. Encounter or encounter in the resource. I mean, this is one way to a deep copy, probably. Duplicate deep. Doesn't really matter. I guess I could just duplicate for now. Return result. I'm going to come over here. Empty. Is the typing wrong? It thinks it's a resource. I think it thinks the preloaded version of the resource is just regular resource. That's going to be dumb if that's the case. I hate that. Soldrin says, your bot already shared it. Oh, I see. Oh, no, YouTube stream is a little delayed right now. So, shoot. Hold on. So you might be seeing it a little delayed here. Hold on. It doesn't like this. Doesn't like that. Doesn't like anything. Wait, it does have it. It exists. It exists. It says it's a script encounter. I feel like I always have this issue whenever I do this. And I can never figure it out. Oh, I'm doing... Whoops. Dumb. Soldrin says thanks. Still no words. I hate that. Sylvia says, what happens on the Discord? I make announcements when I go on live or when I release videos. You know, obviously you can chat with me. Also, community, showcase your game. Right now we're doing my game progress thing where we're basically weekly updating our game progress. So the part of it is like we're trying to do a little challenge where as a community we finish a game this week or this year. So we do a little accountability group. We're updating our updates and including my own updates. I do my little weekly video updates. And I'm hoping that there's enough where eventually I can showcase other people's work in my channel until you go, hey, Ezra, can you stop showing my stuff? I want to do my own devlog. And I'll go, this person have a devlog now. Go check it out. Encounter names are all empty on these. It's mind-boggling right now why they are empty. They're just not safe. You know, sometimes with the resources, reloading changes the... Wait, this one doesn't have anything. It's an encounter, yeah? Script encounter GD. Has a resource path. Wait, I'm pretty sure you used to be able to load resource as a load or preload. You don't have to instantiate it, right? It's a resource. It's not packed scene, I think. This used to work. I'm so confused. Stuck on the most basic part of it. gives me the path to the resource, but it's not a resource in itself. It's encoded. Pretty sure. Let me see what this does. Pretty sure it used to do this. I don't know. Hold on. Godot mention loading resource. I don't want to use a resource loader, do I? Load resource file from file system. I don't care about that. Custom resource, custom resource. Freeing resource. I mean, yeah, you just load it and it's the resource. Hello? You need to instantiate if it's a scene. Yes, if it's a scene. But if it's just regular resource, it should be itself. Oh, you got to do new? Wait, is that true? No, this is a script. You're creating a new version of it through it. That's different. I feel like I'm in a different world right now. What if I change it to var? Is that going to do differently? No, it's not. I can do var static. Static var. Is that going to behave differently? No. So if this returns, it's going to be empty because it's going to be like, hey, I don't see what you're talking about. So the encounter here doesn't have an element, but I'm converting it to encounter, which it really is already. I don't know what this resource name part is. And it's going to break because it's saying that access to encounter name doesn't exist. I need to refer back to what I did with my other project because I feel like I swear I did it just like this. I'm struggling already unloading resources. Can you believe it? I can actually. The resource loader. I simply did the preloading, except it's relative loading instead of unique ID loading. I mean, that can't be it, right? I have a. I even duplicated it and it works fine. This would be silly if it's the difference between UUID and just regular ID. Imagine. Yeah, resource loader is basically doing this implementation except for a directory. It should be the same if I understand correctly. But it bothers me that it doesn't work, right? Even if there's an alternative. No, it's still getting it like that. I mean, you shouldn't have to. Unless it's like a new thing on the new version. Yeah, you do need to duplicate it, but I undid it because I was trying to figure out why it wasn't doing that thing. See, even if it's duplicated, this one doesn't even have the information that the original had now. The duplication All right, watch this. Watch this. Ready? Ready? All right, wait. Watch this. Watch this. I have a feeling. This is the only thing that I haven't tried. And sometimes this is the issue. Tenor says, otherwise you would be changing all scenes with it. Yeah, unless you have the local to scene turned on. But yeah. Okay, still not there. At least it's getting it correctly. Don't tell me like it's there. The change is there. Yeah, that sometimes inspector toggle doesn't really work, but sometimes also the importing doesn't work properly either. I'm so flabbergasted at this point. This used to work all the time, so I'm kind of like annoyed by this right now. What is happening? So we got the encounter. It wouldn't make sense that I need to do .new on this. Just loaded resource here. And then now the result contains one item with no information in here. Also, why is there two? We got the encounter name here, and then we got the members here. What? What's going on? Why is it not working? Oh, I'm so confused. That's so annoying. I'm gonna test something else real quick. I'm going to do this. Instead of getting it all, I'm just going to call for get encounter and then the name. Ref counted is constant, so it should be loaded beforehand. It should be all available. I bet this is going to fail. Well, yeah, it did fail because it's saying that this is an object, not a resource called encounter. It just is taking it as a resource instead of encounter. Like, I don't believe I have to do this. I never had to do this before. That would be silly, right? Yeah. It's still saying that it's object type resource instead of the type of what I've defined it as. Invalid access to property encounter name on base object of type resource. Well, this is not a type resource. It extends it, and its encounter has the extra thing. Hello? Wait. This, I'm really stuck on the most unexpected part of the process right now. I have to figure this out. I'm trying to wonder if it's like part of this